G'day guys, I'm Matt Brand and this is the 2021 Hyundai i30 N-Line. Now this is the third i30 that I have reviewed on the channel this year. But I swear it's for a good reason. It's because this is the 2021 i30 N-Line and it has been facelifted mostly. But it doesn't look any different, Mr. Matthew. Well, it is. You see, us Australians, we get our i30s from the South Korean factory, whereas other places get it from the Czech Republic. And for whatever reason, for tooling, costs, whatever, they haven't updated the outside of the N-Line, but we do have the updated interior. Very weird. Thankfully, there'll be no changes to the drivetrain, so except for the outside looks, everything else has changed. It's very confusing, but trust me, this is the 2021 PD for i30 N-Line. Now, if you are new around here, I would love it if you went down there and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. I release an awesome new car review like this every single week, and while you're down there, please do hit the like button. It really helps the algorithm and small channels like me. I've also left timestamps in the description below or the YouTube chapters, so feel free to skip ahead. But otherwise, let's get straight into the review. Starting from the front, and the i30 N-Line really does look just like an i30N. I know, surprise. But that is a great thing because the i30N is a sweet looking car, and I'll tell you what, this N-Line is also pretty cool. The grille is tasteful, not too big, not too small. It's got that kind of catfish grille, but it looks pretty cool. And then flanking those are the LED headlights. They are projector LEDs, but in low beam they're fine, in high beam they're not that bright. That will be one of the biggest things that they change, so I'm not going to complain too much now. Below are the daytime running lights, which are a little bit basic, I'm not going to lie, and they also have the LED indicators within them, but they're going to change too. And then apart from the massive ducts that streamline air over the side and apparently cool the brakes, that's it. It is such a sweet looking thing. It looks great, fantastic, it pops in light. I like it. And this is a theme, whether you go for the updated brand new look whenever that comes out, or this one here with the updated interior anyway, you're not going to be losing out. I've always liked the side of the i30. I think it's very sleek and modern in its design, and it hasn't changed here, of course. It looks fantastic. The 18-inch machine alloyed wheels, wow, they are so cool. And I don't know, it's just Hyundai, they make the coolest wheels. Doesn't make sense, but they do. Something about them just makes them suit the car's character so much. And actually, in some ways, they are better than the wheels that you get on the i30N because they come with Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires, which are so much better than the Pirelli P0s that come on the i30N, which have no grip. These have loads of grip. So in some ways you're doing better than an i30N. You also have some blacked out parts on the side around the windows, on the door mirrors, and you get a nice little N-Line badge, which is pretty cool looking, I'm not gonna lie. Again, it's just simple, that's it. Just like the side, the rear is a modern premium look. Actually, not much is changing between this and the facelifted version. So again, I don't know how important the exterior changes are gonna be. You have a really tasteful black roof spoiler, which I think just completes the look, especially being like a pretty sporty hot hatch. You might be like, Matt, it's a warm hatch. Well, actually, it's got some pretty hot hatch performance. We'll get into that later. The taillights still look good, in my opinion. They are LED, so they're nice and functional and bright. And down the bottom, you have a beefy rear diffuser with a couple of dual tips in there, just like the i30N. And because this is a pretty hot, warm hatch, you deserve to hear how the exhaust sounds. Overall, although the i30 N-Line will eventually have its exterior facelift to match the interior, I actually think it looks fantastic just as it is. The exterior changes will bring some changes, they will look cool, but if you can't hold out, then you're not going to be disappointed either way. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. What do you think looks better, this i30 N-Line, or do you prefer the looks of the Hyundai i30 sedan, which has just come out and I did review on the channel? You can click somewhere up there if you want to watch that. By the way, the i30 sedan is not really the same as this i30 hatch, despite sharing the same name. So go over there, watch that video, I explain it better. Now I want to move on to the interior, and I want to start with the overall look, layout, and feel. Despite the interior being facelifted, it's not that different. It is still a sea of black plastics in here, some of them being soft, like around on the dash, but others being quite nasty, hard plastic. But it's not too surprising because this is a budget-friendly warm hatch. Warm hot hatch, really. Thankfully, the design is quite tasteful and there are some nice touches. Like I love the anodized red metal around the air vents and on the seat belts. It's very bright red. Then you have red stitching on the center armrest, which does slide, by the way, and on the seat. So despite not feeling like the most premium place to sit in the world, it certainly looks the part. Then we have ergonomics and practicality, which is the best in the class. The steering wheel is tilting and telescoping to such a huge degree, and these seats are 10-way adjusting with the most adjustable lumbar support I have ever experienced, which is great. It means that on longer drives, you just have so much support in your back. And then there is just heaps of storage within here too. You have 2 cup holders in the center. You have massive door bins that can fit like 3 more bottles in them each. You have an area for your phone up front. The glove box is a pretty big size, as is the center armrest, which by the way does slide, which is a bit more practicality for you. In terms of I/O, of course, you get that wireless charger, you get a USB port, and you get 2 12-volt sockets, with one being in the center armrest. So again, it's just practical. Excuse me here while I give it a bit of sauce. This thing is so quick. Man, the seats are simply fantastic. They are, again, one of the best in the business, if not the best. Being the N-Line Premium, you get a leather appointed interior and they are super comfy. And they look great too. I love the little N logo embossed within them. They have perforated leather because these are cooled and heated seats. If I had to nitpick, I don't know how I feel about the fake carbon fiber pattern on them. I feel like that's a little bit cheap, but I actually don't mind it, to be honest, so I'm not going to complain. Really good seat. Then there is the steering wheel, and yeah, I hate to keep repeating myself, but Hyundai makes some of the best steering wheels in the business. You do get an N steering wheel, so you got a little badge down the bottom, and it is effectively the exact same steering wheel as that you'd get in the N without the drive mode selectors. Now, it's not the best in the industry because it's the nicest leather. I mean, it's good, it's very comfortable to hold in the hands, and I do love the red stitching, but it's just because of how functional it is. On the left-hand side, you have your media controls and you have your phone controls. Then on the right-hand side, you have your digital instrument cluster controls and you have your safety system controls. Quickly talking about safety, you get pretty much everything under the sun. My favorite though, and the highlights, are the adaptive cruise control, the lane keep assist, but also the lane centering assist. So you press a little button on the steering wheel and it will lock you into the center of the lane. That's awesome. It's great to see the autonomous driving tech coming down to the cheaper cars. I also really like the metal shifting pedals. I think they're metal. It's impossible to tell, which is great. It means that they feel super premium. They could just be cheap plastic. I would be none the wiser. Truly great. Moving on to the instrument cluster now, and this is one of the things they have updated for 2021, because you get a nice big bright 7-inch digital instrument cluster right in front of you. Now on the left-hand side, you still have a traditional tachometer. On the right-hand side, you have your temperature gauges and you have your fuel gauges. But in the center, as I said, you get a nice bright panel, and it does show enough information. To be honest, it is the exact same kind of information that you would have gotten anyway in the pre-facelift, but it's still cool to have. My favorite are the graphics when you switch between driving modes and you can see it change colors between red, blue, and green. Green being eco, red being sport, and blue being normal. And it just works, helps to uplift the interior, so I like it. Also new is the 10.25-inch infotainment display. Now, just like the infotainment cluster, the pre-facelift 8-inch screen was perfectly fine and honestly just as functional. But this just, again, elevates the interior. It is bright, easy as heck to use. Better yet, it is super functional. You get navigation, digital radio, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay. They're not wireless, but they should be here in a couple of months, hopefully, so we'll wait to see if that happens. The graphics are extremely sharp, resolution is high, it is nice bright system. Honestly, one of the best in the industry again. And then connected to it is a 7-speaker Infinity sound system. And I had pretty high hopes because the new Bose system in the i30 sedan sounds fantastic. This doesn't sound as good. Still sounds very good, just not as good. Minor complaint though, I'd rather have an upgraded sound system than not. Then there are the air conditioning controls. They are simple, intuitive, easy to use. Maybe if there was a complaint, there are a few too many buttons, but I don't really care. They work well. So to sum up the interior, oh my God. It's a great place to be. Oh, and shout out to the massive panoramic sunroof as well. It really helps to brighten up the interior. In terms of the rear seats, well, they do get the same beautiful leather as up front with the red highlights, but it's not the most comfortable place to be. At 5'11", I do have to put my seat forward to be able to mostly comfortably sit behind myself. There is plenty of toe room and plenty of headroom too. It's just that knee room that could be a bit better. Thankfully, it is quite functional though. You do get 2 air vents back there surrounded in that red trim, which is great on hot Australian, I guess it's summer days like today. Then there is boot space, which is really good. You have 395 litres of boot space with the rear seats up. Put the rear seats down and you have 1,301 litres of boot space, which must be class leading. But yeah, you get plenty. So even though not much has really changed from the pre-facelift, you still get a fantastic car with just some nice new additions. Of course, what you want to know is how does the new i30, oh my God, N-Line drive? Magically. It is a magical car, honestly. Powering the i30 N-Line is the same 1.6 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that we have seen in so many of Hyundai's products. That's not a bad thing because it pumps out 150 kilowatt of power and 265 Newton meters of torque. And let me tell you, this is better than a warm hatch. This is pretty hot hatch territory. The 0 to 100 or 0 to 62 miles an hour is around about 7.1 seconds. This is hot. And honestly, that's not that far off the i30N. On a good day, I could get about 6.7 seconds 0 to 100 in that car because of just how much axle tramp and wheel spin it had because of the horrible tires. But still, genuinely, it feels pretty close. Now, all of that power is sent through a 7-speed dual clutch transmission to the front wheels, and yes, it does have the characteristic dual clutch issues. For example, at low speeds, there is some clunkiness, although I will say over the years, Hyundai have been tuning that out. Otherwise, it is an awesome transmission. When you're really putting your foot down, these shifts are hard, they really push you, and you feel like you are one with the car, as cliche as that sounds. My one complaint is that sometimes, you put your foot on the pedal and you feel quite disconnected. Probably something to do with the dual clutch. The handling in the i30 N-Line is absurd. It has that same characteristic magic front end that the i30N has, just without the electronic limited slip differential. But still, it feels amazing. My partner drove this and I said to her, this is as close as you'll get to driving the i30N before actually driving one. It is really heavy steering though, so keep that in mind. It feels super sporty and I love it, but some people won't. Then there is the suspension, and you do get a better suspension setup than in the standard i30. You get a multi-link suspension at the rear, which means the wheels move independently. And Hyundai are renowned for their local tuning. They do all of their Australian tuning here in Australia, and it just means that this car is amazing over all surfaces, and it truly is. No, this doesn't have adaptive suspension, but you could probably fool me by saying it did because, oh my God, it's really good. Around town, it is super comfortable, and then when you take a corner a bit stupidly, there is zero body roll. It's quite amazing. I'll be honest with you, when I first got into the i30 N-Line, I was expecting mediocrity, and I got the opposite. I am so impressed with how this drives. Honestly, it feels pretty close to an i30N, and that is amazing. Would I still rather the i30N? Yes. Yes, I would. But this is still fantastic. So is it worth it should you buy one? Well, the i30 N-Line starts at just over 33,000 Australian dollars drive away. That is in the manual, guys, and without this premium pack. Step up to the N-Line Premium and you'll be paying just over 38,000 Australian dollars for the manual and just over 40,000 Australian dollars drive away for the auto. I have zero hesitations in saying that absolutely this car is worth it. You get really close to a full N experience while getting probably a fancier schmancier interior with the cooled seats and the heated seats and everything. Honestly, make this car crackle, fart, and pop, and I'd probably think it was the i30N. If you can get the i30N, though, do it. Just drive it, because it is a different experience, just that little bit extra special in every way, except for maybe the interior. And I would get the automatic because it does unlock features for you like adaptive cruise control all the way to 0 in stop-start traffic. So yeah, I recommend that. At 40 grand, you get everything you could ever need in a car, and absolutely highly recommend it. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please do click over there and watch my i30N review or the i30 sedan review. Both are awesome though. The i30N is a cooler car. Go down there, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and comment down below. What do you think of the i30 N-Line? Do you wish the exterior was updated like the interior? Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you next week.